Right, what are the best works by the best directors ever? I'm going to go through directors number 1 through 25 on the Studio Blinder list and say what I think their masterpieces, masterworks are, the best work that they ever made. And I'm going to do this improvised, so this is completely on the fly. You're going to see my initial reactions. I should also say that the best work technically is a masterpiece, or that's one definition of the word masterpiece. A lot of people use that word masterpiece pretty loosely just to say, oh, it was a great work. But if you really want to think about the old-time historical term, masterpiece means the best work that a craftsman, someone entering into a guild, an artist displaying all his or her works, that's the very best work. So here's what I'm doing. I'm picking their masterpiece, the best work, one single work. So let me know if you agree or disagree with these choices. All right, on the Studio Blinder list of greatest directors ever, numbers 1 through 25, we had number 25, Alfonzo Cuaron. I think this is easy. The best work I think he's ever made technically, although someone might pick Gravity, but I definitely think Children of Men. There's a lot going on in that. This is a miracle movie because the background is almost more important than the foreground. What you're not supposed to focus on, what you don't focus on as a viewer, is highlighted in this movie. It's one of the rare movies where the background is actually more interesting sometimes than the foreground. So I'm picking Children of Men here. Oh, number 24, John Cassavetes. This is a tricky one. I think it's going to be Woman Under the Influence. That's not my favorite movie by him, but most well known. And I think that's as raw as it gets, that movie, so I'd probably pick that one. But I could be wrong. I'd probably change it. If I saw this tomorrow, I'd probably change my answer. Oh, number 23, Roman Polanski. Love his work, don't like the man's moral choices. This one's tricky, because it could be Chinatown, it could be Tess. Oh, man, I don't know what to do here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pick The Pianist. I like that movie a lot. I think it's really, in the context of all the Holocaust movies that had been made before it, and for it to sort of do something different and advance, maybe develop or change things up a bit with those kinds of movies. I'm really impacted by that movie, so I'm picking The Pianist for Roman Polanski. Number 22 is Billy Wilder. Oh, no. So we're in territory where a lot of these directors here made a lot of great works, and it's going to be tough to choose. Stalag 17, Witness for the Prosecution, but my favorite movie, I don't know if this is the best technically, I think it's his masterwork. It makes a lot of sense to me. A lot of contemporary relevance is Ace in the Hole. I really, really like this movie. Even though I like half a dozen other Wilder movies a lot. So I'm going to pick Ace in the Hole, though probably most of you pick like Sunset Boulevard. Number 21 on this list, I'm surprised he's this high up. Probably because he's so well beloved. It's Christopher Nolan. What is his masterwork, though? Jeez. Is it Memento? Certainly in terms of screenplay, Memento is. Is it Interstellar? Is it the Batman movies? It's got to be The Dark Knight, right? This is a tough one, though, because, again, with trilogies, The Dark Knight is the middle one. Can I single it out, or do I have to say the whole trilogy? I'm probably going to go with Interstellar, although that's not as strong story-wise, but really interesting visuals, all the stuff they did, the black hole, trying to be realistic with gravity on certain planets. I like Interstellar. I'd probably change my mind tomorrow, though, if you asked me. Number 20, F.W. Murnau. Oh, Sunrise, Nosferatu. It's probably Sunrise. I think that's the best movie he ever made, although he's got a number of great movies. Definitely one of the greatest movie makers ever. Number 19 is David Fincher. What am I going to do? I think this is easy. It's The Social Network. It's his masterwork. Now, I like a couple of his other movies, Zodiac, for example, Seven. I don't like it, but I think it's interesting. But I think his best one is The Social Network. Part of it's the score, the script, the relevance. The problem, though, with Social Network is in 20 years, if Facebook disappears or is no longer around, as its predecessor MySpace was, will anybody care about or understand this movie? I don't know, so the answer may be different in 20 years. Number 18, Jean-Luc Godard. And this is a very tough one because he made a lot of movies, especially in his most fervent flowering period, which is 1960 to 1967. That's where most movie viewers go to when they watch a Godard movie. Probably it's Alphaville for me. I love Alphaville a lot. And yet you could probably pick 6 or 7 or 10 others as his masterworks. I'm not sure he has a best movie. What if I personally singled one out? It's Alphaville. Oh, number 17 is David Lynch. What am I supposed to do here? I actually think it's Eraserhead. I'm sure people will pick Blue Velvet, or definitely Mulholland Drive will be a very popular choice. Eraserhead continues to be weird, interesting, entertaining, bizarre. I mean, it's an amazing movie to see 40 or 50 years after it was made. So I'm still picking that one, Eraserhead. Number 16, Yasuo Ozu. Oh, and most people are going to pick Tokyo Story here. That's usually at the top of a bunch of lists. So what am I supposed to do? Now, what's a technical masterwork from Ozu? Like 12 of them? 15? I don't even know what to choose here. For me personally, I would pick Good Morning. That's my favorite of his movies, although you got Late Autumn and Autumn Afternoon. I like his later movies that are in color, the last 5 or 6 that he made. And yet, most people are going to say Tokyo Story, so just know that. But I like Good Morning, so I'll pick that. I don't think he's got a masterwork, though. You got to watch like 10 Ozu movies to really get him, understand him, and understand his world and his worldview. Number 15, Orson Welles. Okay, well, Citizen Kane, right? Maybe. I've always said my favorite of his, or one of my favorites, is The Trial. Another one is F for Fake, Touch of Evil. Should I be different and pick one of those? I probably should pick Citizen Kane as Welles' masterwork. That's probably the easiest choice ever. Number 14 is Francis Ford Coppola. Now, this is not so easy because you got The Godfather, Godfather Part 2, or Godfather Part 3. Haha, just kidding. I picked Godfather Part 2 as his masterwork. Although Apocalypse Now, a lot of people would pick that. I picked Godfather 2. 13 is Fellini. And you see the Fellini behind me here. I'm not sure what to do because I have a different taste here and what I think is technically awesome. 8.5? Maybe I'd pick that one, but I definitely like Amarcord the best. Is that harder? Was that harder to make? Is it more complex? I don't know. So I'm going to pick Amarcord and probably take a lot of heat for that because it's maybe not his best movie. Let me know what you think Fellini's masterwork is. Number 12 is Paul Thomas Anderson. Oh no. In truth, I have not seen all of his movies. I'll admit that. I haven't seen Inherent Vice or The Master. You're going to go, what? What are you doing at the movie channel? I just haven't watched all of his movies. I hadn't had time. So am I going to pick There Will Be Blood? Probably his masterwork is Magnolia. Just to intercut and blend all those stories together and to get a single story out of all that stuff. This is a tough one, though. I'm not really sure. What do you think PTA's best movie is? Number 11 is Denis Villeneuve. Really? I'm very surprised at this. I didn't think he'd be this high up here. Probably because he's popular these days. I think his best movie is Blade Runner 2049. I've watched that 2, 3, 4 times, took a hard look at it, admired it more and more every time I looked at it, so I think that's his best movie. Charlie Chaplin, he's number 10. What's his masterwork? Jeez, I think it's Modern Times. There he was dealing with the sound era. He was in the sound era, and yet he was known, very famous, like one of the most famous people in the world, for being a silent movie star. I think that was a hard movie to pull off. I think it had an interesting social critique. It lives on today through a number of other movies like Joker, so I'm picking Modern Times for Chaplin. Number 9, Sergei Eisenstein, famous Russian director. I think this is easy. It's Battleship Potemkin. You might say something else, but she's inventing the montage or popularizing it at least. That's got to be it. Number 8 is John Ford. Now, a number of people would pick The Searchers. I think that's a subtle, complex Western for sure. I'm going to go with Stagecoach. That's the movie that Orson Welles watched several dozen times to prepare for Citizen Kane. I think that's a hard movie to pull off. I think it was technically hard as well. It's a fascinating movie, so Stagecoach. Number 7, Ingmar Bergman. I've covered Bergman all throughout this entire channel. I have a lot of videos on him. I went through all of his movies pretty recently, so this is fresh for me, yet this is a tough choice. I know a lot of people would say Persona or Fanny and Alexander here. I think I even put Fanny and Alexander as my number 1 Bergman movie, but his masterwork has to be Seventh Seal. Once you watch his filmography and you get to that movie, there's a passion and intensity, a raw energy in it, and it's not been equaled by any movie ever, in my opinion. Certainly about the subject matter it's about. I like the Seventh Seal a lot, so I picked that as his masterwork. Number 6 is Quentin Tarantino, and I think this is totally easy. You might disagree, but it's Pulp Fiction, right? It has to be. Number 5 is Martin Scorsese. So what are we going to pick for him? Is it Goodfellas? Maybe. Taxi Driver? Maybe. Mean Streets? That's pretty early in his career. And you could pick something from the later period here, something he's made in the last 15 to 20 years. Of course, he won an Oscar for The Departed. Not a lot of people, or not as many people like that as I would think. I'm going to pick Goodfellas. I went through it and I did a video on it. I was amazed by how it was made, put together. the structure of it, all the characterizations. Great, great movie. Goodfellas is my pick for his masterwork, although you could probably pick 5 or 10 others here. Number 4 is Steven Spielberg. What am I supposed to do here picking one masterwork from him? This is tough for me because I think, and this is my opinion, I think Spielberg's movies are thin on like philosophy and culture, which is what I prefer on this channel. The depth of thought in his movies isn't there compared to most of the other directors we just looked at, including Bergman, for example. So what am I supposed to pick? My favorite of his is Catch Me If You Can. That's one of my favorites. Minority Report, I think, is pretty good. In fact, that's probably what I will pick here, going against E.T. and all the other ones. I'm going to pick Minority Report as his masterwork. Although that movie may have some flaws, I still like it. Number 3 is Akira Kurosawa, one of my absolute favorites. In fact, longtime favorite since I was a teenager. I watched High and Low recently. Great, great movie. Seven Samurai would probably be the pick of a lot of people here. I think Rashomon is his best. If you look at his filmography and what had been made in movie history up to that point, Rashomon comes out of nowhere and is an amazing movie. You know, coins its own term, the Rashomon effect, still used in film and other mediums of art. So I'm picking Rashomon as his masterwork. Number 2 is Alfred Hitchcock. And most people are going to pick Vertigo. It's the number 1 movie on the BFI's list. I am very impressed by Psycho and a number of his other movies, but I pick Rear Window. I think technically that's very hard to make a story where it's mostly in one setting, the camera stays in one setting, there's no non-diegetic score there. I mean, everything is coming from within the movie world. Fascinating movie about movies, about detectives, crime, paranoia, all kinds of great things. I'm picking Rear Window. Now I get up to number 1, and I struggled doing the 2 videos that I just did because I was doing improvised, and most of these directors I was having a hard time picking one great movie or the one masterwork. I get to Stanley Kubrick. There's only one pick here for me. It's 2001: A Space Odyssey. That just seems so easy because of how it was made and all the advances that it had on science fiction and movie making in general, all the cultural references to it. Now, I know he was a fabulous movie maker in so many ways, but I think 2001 has to be the masterwork, doesn't it? Well, I asked the question because I want to know what you guys think. What did I miss? What would you said about any of these movie makers? Let us know what you think the masterpiece, masterwork, the best work by each of these artists is, and where I've gone right or wrong, or what you would say. Let us know in the comments. Please subscribe. Thanks. Have a great day.